Hello, hello, am I on? Guess I am. Nobody's here really, but it doesn't matter. I will just continue. So this is a live stream about adding railroad diagrams to Python documentation. So we want to take whatever's in the docs now in the language reference, things like this, and all the expressions, statements, basically the full grammar as it is here, and convert it to diagrams like that. So last time I made a little Sphinx extension that can generate this kind of output in the docs, and now I'll just need to fill it up. So let me actually close all of these tabs that I've opened because I want to open my locally generated documentation. So that would be in my home, in docs, build, there's the same thing here. So lexical analysis, expressions, simple statements, compound statement, top level statements, and full grammar. And here in my local build, I already have something generated by my little testing extension. So this is I struggled a bit about where to put the code because on one hand it should be in the docs, on the other hand all the parser related code is in tools. So I decided that I'll kind of not worry too much about that, put stuff where it's easiest to put, and then we can shuffle it later somehow. So what I ended up with last time is I took the grammar visualizer, which is a tool in the PEG generator in Python's parser builder. Right, this is not the one, this is my previous one, grammar visualizer, this one. So this is a tool in the PEG generator that visualizes the grammar. I assume the PEG developers use this to kind of make sure the code works. So I took that and I copied it as it is for now, and now I will want to run it to see whether I can actually load the grammar itself. So let me use a smaller prompt because I'm using a bigger font for the stream. Maybe I don't need such a big font. All right, so how do I run this? I run Python tools / PEG generator pgen. My new tool is docs fragment generator, and it uses argparser, and it uses a file name argument for the grammar description. So that's grammar / python.gram, and I get an importer, no module named pgen. And as far as I know, the best way to get that is to put it in Python path. So either I can cd to this directory here, or I can tell Python to load stuff from tools peg generator peg gen, and this no, from the peg generator. So this peggen.build, well, actually I have only open documents, that's this one, peggen.build, that'll be imported from my Python directory. And there we go, this is the output of the little dump tool that's included in CPython. Right, so I basically go into the tool and I can study it a bit, and then I'll basically delete it all and rewrite it with my own stuff. So what does this do? Builds an argument parser, fine. It has a main function, it builds a parser, and then it makes a visitor, which is an AST grammar printer. It's this class over here, and it calls print grammar AST. So what does print grammar AST do? It takes a grammar and a printer, which defaults to print. And then for each rule in the grammar's rules, so grammar rules is a dictionary mapping rule names to values, it will call print on the output of print nodes recursively. And what does that is gets all the children of the node using self.children, which will yield items from a list, or it'll go over node, so it'll use node as an iterable, and that apparently gives you all the children of that node. So if I iterate this RHS, I would get these two alts, or maybe it's a list of those two alts. So that'll get kind of flattened. I get the name of the node. Getting the name of the nodes is if there are no children, I get the wrapper of that node. So for leaves like this, it gets the wrapper, otherwise it gets the class name. Okay, interesting. Then it does some ASCII art magic. That's not interesting, although it's probably took a lot of time to figure these out. If there are no children, this line is returned. Otherwise, the line is extended with more lines, and the line which is now more lines separated by new lines is returned and then gets printed. Okay. I mean, this could be simplified, but I don't think it's necessary to oversimplify this little tool. So what I have learned is that to get the children, I need to use code like this, which is probably the most interesting thing I want. I will probably want the name of these of this rule as well. So let me try printing this is grammar rules values. So if I do items, I might get the name of the rule as the key. Let's see, does that do something? Yep. So this will end with a rule named invalid conversion character, which in my version of the grammar is the final rule here. Great, so it looks like I can parse stuff. Now let me get rid of all this, I guess, and turn it into something I want for the docs. So what I want for the docs is some kind of input for my extension. I don't know if I should generate some kind of intermediate. I need to generate some kind of intermediate file, because the Sphinx extension will run on this little part of the grammar. So I probably don't want to parse the whole grammar and cherry pick this little part for each one of these syntax fragments. That sounds like a lot of extra work. So I'll pre-generate an intermediate file that has info about all these fragments, and then I'll consume that in the Sphinx extension. All right. So what do I actually want to do? If I want to do this file input, which is right here, I probably want the statements rule to be included in here. So this version of the grammar, which is probably old or alternate, this is file input is either a new line or a statement repeated over and over again. This says that file input is optional statements and an end marker, where statements is one or more statements. I guess statement is used somewhere else as well. Yeah, it's also used in a block. And in the block it needs to be one or more statements. If you don't have anything in the block, you need at least a pass. So that's why we have this plus here, even though we could have just had statement star, like 0 or more statements instead of optional 1 or more. So for a file input, I'll probably want file input and statements included. And then the statement is documented it might be documented here, well, somewhere else. Do I want statement together with file input? Maybe. Well, I definitely want statements, so let's go with that. And I don't know of a good rule to or another way. I will need some kind of list of the top level rules, or the rules I want documented. So I will want a file with that says, file input, interactive input, eval input, blah blah blah. Are the the stuff I want to see in the docs. And then for the rules like statements, where I don't care, I can probably figure out in the code where they need to go. I might have already made that file. Yeah, it's here. So it's called pegfragments.txt. I will want my tool to take that as an argument. So this would be grammar file name, and that would be fragments. Okay, so main will now take grammar file name, and I will call this thing with an additional argument docs. That's directly up at fragments. All right. Right now. See, this is a class. It's called a visitor, but it only uses self to call its own methods. So I'll probably get rid of this object-oriented approach and just go with functions. So instead of creating a printer and then using it to print, let me just call a function. Generate. What will I call the output of this? Well, generate data from the grammar. And the way I will do that I will well, first of all, I won't take print as an argument for now. I will want to I'll go through all the rules, or make a dictionary of all the rules, let's say. So that's this. So my rules will be dict. That's easy. I might want to take a copy of that because I will want to modify it later, and I want to cherry pick the fragments I want from this file. So let's load that file. That's args fragments file name. Get the top level rule names from the file. Strip the new lines. Okay, and this will take top level rule names. And let's see if I did that correctly. Right, well, that was pretty easy. Let me start running this on every safe. Okay, I have my rule name, and let's also get the rule. So that will be this. Do I have that correctly? Yep. If this fails, that means somebody either made a typo in this list or changed the grammar without knowing that this list exists. So that's something core developers might run into, and I want to provide a good error message, and I'll probably not get to that or remember to get to that later, so I'll handle that case now. Rule name should appear in docs, but was not found in the grammar. Okay. Somebody will run into that error eventually. Alright, so now what do I want to do? I want basically to take this thing and put it in the docs as it is. Is that right? So, apparently the wrapper of these grammar rules is exactly the thing I want in the docs. That's great. But one thing I want in the docs is to include all of the items they depend on. So these statements for the file input. So let's see if I can extract them. I want to recursively walk all the children of this rule and get all mentions of other rules in the grammar that I can then include here, and unless I get to one of these top level rules. Is that what I'm trying to do? I guess. So let's see about that. So I want to get all the children regardless of how deep they're in the tree. So I'll make a generator. Oh, descendants. Is that the correct spelling? Probably. And I want the grammar node. What is the grammar node called? Oh, there's no superclass that would be named, so the rule has. So I'll call that node, I guess. What's it called here? Node is a rule. Yeah, node. Node seems fine. Right. So this will this will go through all the children, and if well, first of all, it will yield the node, then go through all the children, and if it finds a list like in here, then it will generate all descendants from each item in that list. And if it didn't find a list, so it has a child directly, then it will yield from the descendants of the value itself. Oh, sounds okay. Let's see if that works. Right. So for file input, all the descendants are the rule itself. This is some kind of top level thing, I guess. This as well. Then there's this part, the optional thing. Let's print out the type of the descendant as well as the descendant itself, so I know what I'm looking at. Okay, so there's the rule, some kind of right hand side of the rule, and alt, because the right hand side could be could have multiple choices. And there's a named item. Ooh, what does that mean? Input. Oh, it's named, so there's this a equals something because the parser then uses this list of statements. Okay, so that's named. Apparently I can ignore the names of all named items because it looks like they're all named A or B. There might be some meaningful ones that we might use, but it looks like most of them are throwaway names. So then we have an optional. This ends with a question mark, and in the optional there's a right hand side again, an alt, a named item. I don't know if this actually has a name. Let's see. So name is an optional string, so a named item might actually not have a name. Why not? Then there's a name leaf, which looks like it could be either a terminal or a non-terminal. So it could either be a rule, some other part of the grammar, or it could be a token, or this symbol, it's also a token. Let's see. Let's see what the grammar file comment says. String with double quotes denotes soft keywords. I don't think we have any of those here in this subset. The single quotes denote keywords. Again, uppercase names denote tokens. So this new line would be a token. And this dollar sign is not explain here, but it appears as end marker. I wonder how the named name leaf repr works. Name leaf. Oh, if the value is end marker, it replaces the stringifies as a $sign. I might not want to do that for the documentation, but it's nice to know that this this particular wording is not that important. Okay, so what I want to do here is, if one of those descendants is a name leaf and it names a rule that appears in the grammar, then I want to include that rule in the documentation of this top level rule here, unless it's documented somewhere else. All right, let's put that in code. So if I'll probably need isInstance or the newfangled match statement. Match descendant. So if the descendants is Bayesian grammar name leaf, and for isInstance I need to use parentheses in match statements, and I'll probably need to import this whole thing. I might want to import all of these. Might want to import. No, I'm using grammar here. Oh, this might be okay for now. So if it's a name leaf, and then if the name of the name leaf, do I just use descendant.name? If that is in the rules, then for now let's say matched and check the output. Oh, name leaf has no name. What does name leaf have? Name leaf has a value because it's a subtype of leaf which has a value. Okay, why not? All right. So now this name leaf called statements matched, and this name leaf called new end marker did not match. So what do I want to do? If the value is a rule, but it's not a top level rule, not in these top level rule names, then I do matched. And I will want to do this recursively. So I will want to output the statements, and whatever the statements then need themselves. Let's see. See, so I get the rule itself, and let me print that out first. Okay, so I matched statements, that's statement plus, and I will want to walk this statement in the same way to see whether I want to include any rules from that. So want a recursive function that takes a grammar node and the top level rule names so it knows where to stop. And I basically want this logic in there. And this will probably be an infinite loop in the end. Descendant and generate all descendants of the node. And this, right, this also needs all the rules. Right, so we get maximum recursion depth exceeded because there is an inversion rule there's an inversion grammar rule that says not inversion, so it refers back to itself. Maybe that's better to look at in the diagram. So inversion says it's either not inversion or a comparison, so it uses itself basically. So when I want to generate the related rules for inversion, I run to inversion itself and I get a recursion error. The way to stop the recursion error is to keep a memo of all visited rules. So I start with an empty set and then I add my rule to that set every time. I want to add the first one as well. So visited.add the node I'm currently handling, and just before I add it, I ask if it's already there, and if it is, I skip it. So if node in visited I do nothing. I've already generated the related rules for this node. Okay, and I need to pass it to the recursive invocation as well. This code is getting a bit hairy, but that's fine. And adds a lot of output, so let's do the first rule only. So in this top level loop for rule name and all top level rule names, I'll just put a break so I can study the output on the first thing. So here we go. So file input consists of statements, and statements consist of statement plus, but this rule is already a top level rule name somewhere else, so that's not visited, and we end. So this and this minus this these debug outputs here, get rid of that. So this is what I want to put in the docs for file input. right? This is what I want to put in the docs when I'm describing file input. Great. Now instead of a break, let me put a print here for a new line and see how the rest of this fares. So this I want to put for file input. For interactive, it generated statement new line, which is compound statement, as in here, which has function def, as in here, decorators, blah, blah, blah. Many of these will have their own documentation. So for, I guess, function def might be documented by itself. So it'll go in the top level file. I need to rename this file afterwards when I clean it for the pull request. Right, so now this compound statement uses a function definition, but function def won't go in the docs for interactive. So that's working as I wanted it to, basically. Right, so now I need to export it in some way for my docs plugin to use. So this looks like structured data, even if it's a lot of text. So I'll use JSON. And also I don't think I need all of this anymore. Okay. So this generate data will return some result, giant dict, and then I will put that giant dict in a file. And I can never remember how dump works. Is the file the first argument or the second argument? And I'll need an output file name as well. So output file name argument. I need to open it for writing, and I guess it'll just put none there. I need to call it with the proper file. Let's call that doc doc slash peg data .json. Right, do we now have a peg data.json? Yes, we do, and there's a none in it because I haven't put in any returns yet. And I need to drink something. I'll be back in a few minutes. Sorry for the pause, my throat is not being kind to me. Alright, so I need to generate some JSON here, and the JSON will, I guess, for the first pass have the rule name as keys, and then it will have a list of lines I want to output, I guess. Maybe could even have free structured text afterwards. Let's see how that would work. So so I will need to make a result dict here and add in the result under the rule name, put whatever generate related rules did, and generate related rules will return a list. So our result here will be a list that will be returned at the end. Need to return the result here as well, and this instead of this print, the result here will start with the node. Result here, yes, it'll start with the node we're exploring, and then it will be extended with whatever the recursive call generates. Oh, and there's a return none here. I need to return an empty list. You know what, this now looks like a generator. Right. Let's turn it into a generator rather than a list builder later. So now I get an error that object of type rule is not JSON serializable because I'm adding the rule itself, and I just want the string representation of that rule. So now we will get a giant JSON file with a line that's, with a single line that's 60,000 characters long, and that includes all of the grammar. So to make things easier to debug, let's put indent 2 for the JSON. Well, 4 with this is Python, right? So we'll indent JSON with 4 spaces, and now it looks perfect. So if I want to document file input, these are the 2 lines the documentation should have. All right, that looks good. And this file would be checked into the CPython repository unless I find some way to way to run this once at the start of the documentation build. I'll probably need to ask a Sphinx expert that's possible. For now, there'll be one step to generate the file and another step in my Sphinx extension to use it. Yeah, so this looks pretty good. This looks good enough to save my progress. So I've touched this file. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. This is a generated file, but there's nothing in it saying that it is a generated file. I want to add that to anything that's auto-generated, just so people know not to edit it. But there are no comments in JSON, so I will instead use an unused key and just put a comment as a piece of data. So generated by a JSON user, well, JavaScript people use $ for special names, so let's use that. Generated by docs fragment generator .py. Well, hopefully that's. Let's use the comment sign there. Does it look like a comment for the whole file? Should I switch to JSON with comments, or treat the first lines specially? Oh, this probably works. So I will add that, and that, and this. I might want to rename this file first. So this is top level or documented rules, something like that. That's a better name. On docs. I don't want any of this stuff. Okay. Wow. So now I took a look at YouTube and Discord, and I see somebody joined in the meantime and asked a question. So the question is, I quickly went through the last two videos. What I kind of understand is that you're building a kind of software for generating railroads for Python grammars. Yes, that's what I'm doing. If you have any more questions, the best thing you can do is join the Discord and turn on your microphone if you have it, and ask in voice. It'll be recorded for the stream, but that's the best way I can see your question, because I don't really have a good way to monitor these. So if you want to have a conversation, please go ahead, join the Discord. If not, well, I'll continue. So now I will go back to the Sphinx. Hello? I heard something.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so I dropped the question on the YouTube. I was the one that dropped the question on the YouTube. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what the reason why I actually joined, the railroad was actually to see if there's any way which I can, chip in some bit of help or something like that. But like when I just like quickly go through like the last two videos and I actually see that you were actually like creating a kind of software to generate the railroad. So my own kind of question or I mean my own curiosity is like how can I be of help with probably my own little kind of knowledge in because I'm not an expert in all this stuff. So that is just my own. Or do I have to like wait till you create the software? And like I'm just being curious on how can someone like me who doesn't really like have like the broad knowledge of how you guys do this and how can I like be coming? That is just my question.
So I don't know. I don't know what you know. Maybe in well, it's probable that in some area you know more than me. So uh, if you see or if you know something that might be helpful, then go ahead and suggest things. In other areas,
Okay.
I might know more. So you can just look at how I do things and maybe ask clarifying questions if you don't understand something. I'll be happy to explain.
Yeah, so like in this railroad stuff, like because even like generally in Python, though I've learned Python for a while, but like still, I'm very sure that I'm just probably like a college student, so I'm very sure that you guys like have like much knowledge. So like just yet like have some kind of guidance because I'll probably see like I kind of get what is going on, but like I'm still kind of clueless on how I can come in. But like I've done like some few contribution in Python documentation before, but like this rule is kind of very new and not probably like direct.
Well, then you can just take it as a learning experience if you can spare the time and just watch the video and talk to me and ask questions if something's not clear. Then that will eventually get you up to speed where you can well eventually you'll find some area where you know how to fix something and you can propose the change.
Okay.
But it's okay to just relax and look what's going on.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll learn a few things. Maybe you'll learn some things not that you shouldn't do from me, but uh, should be helpful.
Yeah. But another question is, as you are doing this, are you already pushing the changes like to Python main
So
repo?
no, I'm pushing the changes. So after each video, I will push the changes to my own GitHub account. So
Repo.
let's go slash
I mean, some
CPython,
of the little changes. Okay.
and then if you switch the branch to railroads, I think it's railroads. Oh, 3 weeks ago. So no, it's not railroads. I'm on railroad SVG. Okay. I should probably delete the old railroads branch. So railroad SVG simplify. Uh, so this is the one to use.
Okay, the railroad SVG.
So let me delete this one. Still have it locally. Uh, and this one was kind of temporary. I hope.
I mean, for this Railroad SVG, because I mean, I probably like see some when I was going through the video, I kind of see some little syntax that we, Python syntax which you can probably like improve. I mean, like just like I mean, those syntax were correct, but like we can probably improve. One of the examples is like when you were using like with open in one file, so you didn't probably had if it is read or write or something like that. I mean, I can chip in. I can. I don't know if that's. I mean, that's like. I mean,
Where
I don't know
this?
if it is a very.
This
Hmm?
one?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly that one. So
Right. So
if you
if you
check, I mean,
if you iterate over a file or convert it to list,
yeah,
or do
with
do
open, yeah,
this, it'll take
I
lines,
kind of,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you look at with open, exactly with if you look at the two with open, the other one has like right,
Hmm.
exactly, but like the first one, I mean, that's like just like a minor stuff. I mean, if you look at the first, exactly, I mean,
Right.
okay,
This one is for reading. That's the default.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just the
And
default, yeah.
if uh, I should usually also use the encoding
Yeah, you'd say, well, yeah, exactly.
UD
You'd say,
fate,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
but I'm dealing with the Python grammar, so everything's ASCII anyway, and
Oh,
I
wow.
assume nobody has their system locale set to something that's incompatible with ASCII. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
leaving that off for now, and by the time it'll become a problem, hopefully if it will be the default. But if you're doing something for customers, you should generally use the encoding there. Right,
Yeah,
so where
thank you.
was I? Oh, I wanted to go back to the Sphinx extension and make use of this data. So that'll be in tools, extensions, and there's my little peg fragment extension. So what this does is if I go to top level components here, I have this production list, that's the existing docs, and this peg fragment, that's my new addition, right? So currently this on my branch renders the same thing 2 times. This is the original, this is the new one, and this just says please document the rule named file input for me, right? And this extension does that. It's the peg fragment directive invoked by using peg fragment and restructured text, and it has a bunch of Sphinx metadata, and it when it's run, it will return a production list made with one production that basically has the correct text. So this is the text inside, this is the token name, and it needs some IDs that I haven't fully figured out yet. One thing I've looked at before is the pseudo XML output from Sphinx, which I don't have anymore, which I have not built. How have I built the docs? Here's the command. So path doc venv bin. Oh, I probably took this from a make file. So this uses my virtual environment for docs building, and I use Sphinx build sudo XML into build trees, automatic number of jobs, whatever this is, I don't remember, and this is the output directory. So let me pull out the help for that. So there's the source directory. W is turn warning into errors, right? So this is the source directory, this is the output directory, and what I learned from a question in the docs Discord is that there's this file names here which will only look at specific files to rebuild. So let's do that. So I want to rebuild doc reference top level components.rst. What this will do, I don't know. It's the first time I'm trying to build a single RST file with Sphinx. It does take its time, but it's definitely faster than building everything. And now I get this pseudo XML. So this is basically just a dump of what the restructured text parses to. And in here we should have the production list, one for the original, one for my new thing that has one production, and some text inside it. So this is how I saw how Sphinx does things. What I will want to do now is to look how this compound statement is made, because now I want to switch to multiple lines. I'm guessing that each of these lines, or at least each of these productions will be its own production, but I'm not terribly sure about how this indentation is handled. So let me generate this compound statements as well. Instead of top level components, I will use compound statements. Let's see what Sphinx will do with that. Chance to drink some tea now. And there we go. So compound statements, and I want to look at a compound statement, this compound statement rule. Where is it here? Production list. Let's make this bigger. Has a production with this named compound statement, and then it has more productions with an empty token name. I see. So this indentation is handled by productions with an empty token name, and presumably that gets rid of this dot equals as well. So you only see what's actually in here. That is a strange choice, but why not? XML space preserve. Do I do that? Do I have that here? Yeah. I guess Sphinx sends that automatically. Okay, so if I have multiple lines in a rule, I should generate multiple productions, and the first one should have a token name filled in and the other ones should not. I wonder if this is worth my time and if I should just use some kind of monospace output and not these dedicated rules. But why not? Okay, so what do I do here? Peg fragment directive, when it runs, oh wait, maybe in the setup I can parse the grammar file, but it would run at every invocation of Sphinx. Oh, let's import JSON and parse the file here. Import JSON. Then I open the file. How do I specify the file name for some data file? Do I have any data files that I could use as an example? There's data stable-abi.dat. Yeah, that's a good one. So there's C annotations. Oh, there's a config for stable-abi file. Oh, I see. Okay, so I need... okay. So I need to add a configuration option to Sphinx with a stable ABI file. Not stable ABI, with the top level rules, and then I guess this will only this will only run my init annotation function when Sphinx gets to the build step. Interesting. Okay. And then that does some add annotation, and it adds a directive in the builder initted callback. Okay. Why not? So instead of adding a directive here, I will add a configuration value with peg top level rules file. I will connect a function called init peg fragments to builder initted, and that function will take an Sphinx app, right? And that will add my directive. Instead of doing that in setup, I will do that in my builder init function, right? And one other thing the builder init function can do is look at app.config. Well, my configuration file. So that's now named top level rules file, and I can open that here. I'm not looking at the top level rules file. I'm looking at the peg data file. Sorry. So peg data will be loaded from JSON. We have JSON, right? And now what this does is the directive uses this annotation variable, so it is an internal class of that function. So there's a class annotations, which is top level in the module, and there's a directive that's really small and just has a run function that I guess delegates to the annotations class. So my directive here will use this peg data. So I'll use the same trick and just stick the class in here. Indent it. So now I have the file open, and I guess this this could now parse the grammar file itself on demand, but I'll do that refactoring later. And, I guess I'm starting to see how this should be done. So this is a directive that takes not a file input, but it needs one required argument. How do I get that argument? How do I get that argument? So this doesn't have any required arguments. Do I have any required arguments? Yeah, in PySpecific there are some, so let's see how that's done. Availability. Self argument 0. Okay. That's probably in the Sphinx doc somewhere, but in my experience it's often faster to cargo cult something than to look in the docs, which means I will ask for a thorough review by somebody more experienced in Sphinx after I'm done. So the rule name should now be self arguments, and the first item of that, let's see if it is. Instead of file input here, I will use that, and I will use that here, and let's see if I get the same output. So that's this command for top level components, and instead of pseudo XML I want HTML, and instead of the pseudo XML builder I want the HTML builder. That should be it. Nope. Path is not defined. Okay. Probably cargo culted more than I wanted. So let me look at help again and see if I can get tracebacks. Show full traceback on exception. This is good. -t. I guess usually when there's an exception, it's an internal error in Sphinx, but then now the exceptions are errors in my extension. Of course, I haven't imported path. This is path join. Maybe I want to use pathlib instead. Big path. So path app.source there, and that, and I can just open it as a method. That's too many parentheses, which means Sphinx will probably need to regenerate everything now. So we got an error. Right. And the problem now is that this peg data file is not included in my configuration. So conf.py will have this data refcons there, that stable ABI file. So peg data file is, and I probably want to put that in the data directory as well, right? Let's generate that in docs/data /pegdata.json. And I need to, and I've renamed this file doc_peg_fragments. That should probably also be in data, right? So peg top level rules.txt. Yeah. So let's move that to doc data and remove the old doc peg data JSON, and I want this to be in doc data now. Okay, and it's not peg fragments, but it's peg top level rules now. Okay, so that's generated. Now back to Sphinx. So in Sphinx config, I want data / whatever I generated just now, which is pegdata.json. Let's see if Sphinx likes that. I see there's a lot of viewers on YouTube and not too many on the Discord, which means you can't ask any questions. I don't know if you want that. Oh, so now I gave it a file, but it still reads all the sources. And now it says no such config value peg data file. Huh. That is Interesting. But it did do something, so let's look at the HTML output. And I got file input here, just like before, except now it's well, it's generated from this file input here in the restructured text. So if I put file input 1, 2, 3, it should change, hopefully. Yep. Okay, so that's dynamic. And now I want the rest of it to be dynamic as well. So let me just make this return a comment and put in a new one. So I want to return a list of things because that's what Sphinx wants. I want to have a production list with an empty string here. That seems to be... I would love to know what that actually means. If I put something else than an empty string in these places, is it the text that gets parsed? One of them is text that gets added to the node. I know that. So this now what I need to do here is generate a list of productions. Let me not do that in this expression, but pre-generate that. So productions will be a list, and I will want to add a new production for every line. So I have the rule name, I have the peg data, so rule data will be this. Okay, and this is something that could go wrong, so let me put that in a try. And if I get a here in here, I raise something more appropriate, like grammar rule name not found in this file. Right, so when I have the role data and I want to for each line in the rule data, I want to add a new production to this productions list. Production, and put all the arguments it needs. So that would be the 2 empty strings, and then it needs some text. Maybe text is all I need for now. So the text with the line. I'll probably need some literals in there as well. I don't know if it's better to put the structure in the JSON file or to parse it out, but for now let's just have text. This production needs a token name. And the token name is a bit of structure that I want in the JSON. So let's change that a bit later. So token name is is the rule name for now. And then there's IDs. How do IDs look when there are multiple of productions? There's IDs only when there's a token name. Right, so there's suite with IDs, that's this one. The compound statements, these don't have IDs. Suite has IDs. Okay, good. So let's deal with that later. And I'm guessing I can put multiple productions here. So production list will have productions, and I'll splat that. And then I get a syntax error somewhere because I'm not closing this parenthesis. Thank you, Pablo, for this wonderful error message I'm getting. Right, how did that work out? So I have file input is file input colon and the rule itself, and then I have file input is statements colon statement plus, which is almost what I want, but I want to split this on the colon and put file input in here and statements in here instead of repeating that. Great. I don't want to actually split on the colon because it's that would be parsing the thing I put in my data file. So instead of that, I'll just put the parse data in the data file. I'm still keeping this return around, but just as a comment saying, well, I want to keep this reference thing for reference, but I think this is a good point to save my work. Wow, there's a lot of work to save. So I want to add deleted stuff, bag fragment, top, and the data stuff now as well. Should probably clean my directory and put all this in ignores later. So use grammar data in the Sphinx extension. Okay, now what I do is put the rule name in a separate place, so I need to change the format of my data, and I will not put in lines directly. So what do I need to do here? So this will now be a list of well, tuples. JSON will make that a list of lists. I don't care about that. And this will have the name of the node, and this is actually not a generic node, but it will always be a rule, right? So I'm calling all of these grammar items nodes, but this one will always be a specific one. It will always be a rule which has a name. Okay, so let me rename that. Instead of node, I will just put rule everywhere, replace all. And then this stringification of the rule includes the rule name itself, which I don't want. So I will only put in the string representation of the right-hand side of the rule. right? So now my data format will be a bit different. And where did I put that? It's in data, pack data JSON. So now it will look like this. It'll have a list of pairs, 2-element lists, with the name of the rule and whatever should be on the docs line. And some of these might have new lines. No? Oh, this doesn't do new lines. The string representation doesn't do new lines. I'll probably need to figure out my my own representation. But for now, my data was changed. The rule data line will now have a name and an RHS. So let's put that directly in the for loop. The name will be this. One of these names will actually be the rule we're looking at, but there'll be others as well. And the RHS goes in this text here. So let's rebuild the docs. I should probably run both of these commands on every save in the editor. Let's do that next time. And now we have nothing. Oh, no change. No change. What? Oh, we have no change because Sphinx looks at the change time of this file, and it sees I didn't change anything in that file, so it doesn't need to rebuild anything, which is a bit annoying. So let me touch that file and let Sphinx know that this it needs to rebuild. So one source given on the command line, and then says 1 changed, and here it says 2 changed, so hopefully there we go. This looks almost perfect now. So this is what I want to do. This is what I want to have for all the docs. So for file input, the old way, which doesn't really correspond to the grammar itself, is that. Now I have a perfect little piece of the grammar. This is exactly what I want to have in the docs. I'll need to linkify the statement here because its documentation will be somewhere else. Probably don't want to linkify the statements here because the documentation for that is right next to it. But I think this is a very good start, actually. And I want to use that everywhere. So before, so what I'll do now is I'll replace all of these I guess legacy grammar snippets by the new way of doing things. Maybe I'll first use both, as in here, just so I can compare them. And see how far that will go. But first, before I do sort of a localized change like that, let me put things in Git I think it's okay to amend that last commit because I just added new stuff to it. Right, so I will now go through the restructured text files and add in my grammar rules, which will not be as easy as just doing that, but that's fine. So for each production list, I will put in a peg fragment. So there will be a peg fragment for interactive input. Now the problem with interactive input, let me actually run my command, and before that I want to regenerate the data as well. So I want to run everything, regenerate the data, run my touch command, and run Sphinx as well. And then I'll set this to run on every save. But now I have an exception which says grammar rule interactive input not found in my grammar file. And that's because I have this top level rules file that I pretty much need to keep updated, at least for now. And it needs to include the name of every top level rule that appears in the documentation. I don't know if I can change that, but for now I have this file. So let me run this whole thing on every save. So again, interactive input was not found in pegdata.json. Was the generator built here? Run here? Oh, did I mess up? I want to run this generator first and then the touch and stuff. This. Ah, so my generator raises an error. So my generator raises an error. Interactive output should appear in docs, but was not found in the grammar. And that's because the grammar uses the name interactive instead of interactive input. That's because the two grammars, the grammar in the docs and the grammar in the that's actually used are completely different, and the names don't match, unfortunately. So every time I do this, I will need to rename either what's in the docs or what's in the grammar file. I will rename interactive input in the grammar file, and when I did that for file input, it only appeared in one other place. And that was up here, and I guess I haven't updated that yet. I haven't actually built Python with the changed grammar, but that's fine. So now things work, and did I mess up my weird little shell command here to the point where it doesn't oh, I have the auto reloading in the command itself. Don't let your shell commands become too complicated. let's see how Sphinx looks at this. Yes, the previous one run was an error, so now it needs to reread everything. Takes a bit of time. But docs were built now, and here we go. Isn't this glorious? So interactive input consists of a statement new line, but statement new line consists of compound statements, blah 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 blah, and compound statements has a function def, which we skipped for illustration purposes, but it also has an if statement, and an if statement has an invalid if statement. Invalid if statement has a named expression, and so on. So everything that interactive input needs is now included in this basically copy of the Python grammar. That's perfect. What's perfect about it is that if I now take this compound statement and I stick that in my config file, top level rules, maybe I can put in empty lines here, hopefully. Nope, I cannot put in empty lines, so let's do that. Let's teach the tool to ignore empty lines. So let's explode this for loop. So line dot strip, and I probably want to also ignore comments, so that would be partition it on the comment character and take only the first part of the line, and then strip that. And if anything's left, then add that. So hopefully the white space is now ignored. My pegdata.json now has interactive output here, and it doesn't include compound statement. So the giant thingy here should be a bit less giant. Yeah, it is. I can look from the by the scroll bar here. Right, so if I put any of these things in my config file, it'll disappear from interactive input. That's great. So I'll leave interactive input alone now. Go to eval input. So I'll need to do the same thing for eval input. So in the grammar itself, rename eval. Name this eval into eval input. Put that in my top level rules list. I already had eval in here, and actually let's remove those debug ones right now. And let's see what the data looks like now. So file input got a lot bigger because I removed the statement there. That's fine. And Sphinx now exploded. Oh, I didn't explode my eval input because there's one more thing I need to do, and that's go into top level components.rst and put in the peg fragment directive per eval input. Sphinx will build stuff. And I get my eval input with another copy of the Python grammar. Great. Now I move to compound statements. So this says what a compound statement is. So I will look in the grammar for the official name of compound statement. That is, so there's simple statement, there's compound statement. It has the same name, which is perfect. I'll put it in my top level rules list, and I will put it in, put the peg fragment directive in compound statements. So production list, peg fragment, compound statement. Let Sphinx build that. And I'm telling Sphinx to only rebuild one file. So not top level components RST, but now I want everything from reference. I probably need to touch everything from reference as well. Yeah, next time. Right, what do we get? Compound statement, and there's a definition of it. And this also needs a suite. I don't know if I think suite is called block. In the actual grammar. And I wonder if that has its own definition. Probably not. So if all of these things before the block have their own definition somewhere else, they'll disappear from here, and the suite or block will be left. Hopefully that'll happen. So I just need to go through all these RST files and include the directives in them. I might do that off the stream on my own. For now, I'm basically out of time, so I will do one thing, and that's change my touch command to touch all RST files. And I really need to simplify that. I will commit my change to... Oh, I haven't committed this change yet. So I will commit and push this in some reasonable way off stream. for now I'm out of time, so thank you for watching. I see there's been 5 people watching. That's great. Next time, think about joining the Discord and asking a question. So yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks, because next week I have a conflict. Thanks for watching, and see you in 2 weeks.